My sister slept with my husband while I was pregnant. So I exposed her on her wedding day. I'm a 29-year-old woman, married to Thomas for 4 years. We were supposed to be in the happiest chapter of our lives. I was pregnant with our first child, glowing, excited, believing my family was solid. But everything I thought was safe came crashing down the night I uncovered the most disgusting betrayal. It started with details I brushed aside. Thomas spent more and more time at my sister Elodie's place, claiming he was just helping her out. At first it made sense, she was planning her wedding, needed errands done, and Thomas has always been the type to offer his hands. But then it went from casual favors to late nights. He'd come home smelling of her perfume, the exact scent I had given her last Christmas. One night, around my 6th month of pregnancy, I couldn't sleep. I reached for Thomas, but his side of the bed was cold. He wasn't home. I called, no answer. Out of pure panic, I texted Elodie, and her phone pinged in our shared family location app, right at the same address as Thomas's. My sister's apartment. At 2:30 a.m. My stomach twisted. My brain refused to believe it. Maybe he's fixing something, maybe she called him for help. But deep down I knew. A husband doesn't disappear into the night to his sister-in-law's apartment while his pregnant wife lies awake in bed. That night, when he finally came home, his shirt was inside out. The next morning I woke up before him, lying there in silence, staring at the man I thought I knew better than anyone. His breathing was steady, his face calm, almost innocent. And yet the image of his shirt inside out wouldn't leave my head. I wanted to shake him awake, scream, demand the truth, but something in me froze. Instead, I got up, made coffee, and let the bitterness of it sit on my tongue like poison. I tried to rationalize everything. Maybe I was overthinking. Pregnancy hormones can mess with your head, right? But that nagging feeling of dread wouldn't go away. It followed me through the day, through every kick of the baby inside me, through every fake smile Thomas gave me when he got back from helping Elodie. The flashbacks started hitting me like knives. I remembered moments I had dismissed before, Elodie laughing a little too hard at his jokes. The way Thomas lingered in her kitchen when we'd visit, like he belonged there. The inside jokes I didn't get, their whispered conversations I wasn't supposed to hear. I replayed a family dinner from months ago. I had gone to the bathroom and, on my way back, caught them sitting shoulder to shoulder, speaking quietly, her hand grazing his arm. When they noticed me, they both jumped back like guilty teenagers. Elodie had made some dumb excuse about showing him something on her phone. I'd rolled my eyes back then and brushed it off. Now it all lined up, piece by piece, a puzzle forming in front of me. I started testing him. Little traps, small questions. Did Elodie call you today? Sometimes he'd lie and say no, but I'd already seen her name pop up on his screen earlier. Other times, he'd give me way too much detail, like he was reading from a script he'd prepared. The lies were thin, weak. One night, I was scrolling through my phone while Thomas showered, and I saw a notification he forgot to hide. It wasn't even subtle. A message from Elodie, last night was perfect. I can't stop thinking about it. My blood turned ice. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. I confronted him the moment he stepped out of the shower, dripping wet, towel around his waist. I shoved the phone in his face and screamed, "What the hell is this, Thomas?" He froze, eyes darting like a cornered animal. And then, the insult of it all, he tried to gaslight me. "You're imagining things." She meant the wedding planning. Don't be paranoid. Paranoid. That word hit me harder than a slap. He was sleeping with my sister, and instead of admitting it, he painted me as some hysterical pregnant woman losing her mind. I wanted to rip the towel off him and throw him out that second, but my belly was heavy, my body tired, and I couldn't risk a breakdown with the baby inside me. Instead, I pretended to let it go. I smiled through clenched teeth and said, "Fine. Maybe you're right." But inside, something snapped. I knew the truth. And if he thought I'd stay silent, he didn't know me at all. So I began collecting proof. Screenshots of messages, photos of their location pings, even the receipts from restaurants where they had signed their names together. I hid everything in a secret folder, waiting. Because if they wanted to humiliate me, I was going to destroy them both at the exact moment it would hurt the most. And that moment came sooner than I thought, when Elodie sent me an invitation to her wedding. When Elodie's wedding invitation arrived in the mail, I remember standing in the kitchen with the envelope in my hands, my stomach tightening as if the baby inside me could sense my rage. The card was cream-colored, elegant, embossed with gold letters, Elodie and Mark, together forever. I almost laughed out loud. Together forever? She was already together with my husband. At first, I thought I wouldn't go. Why subject myself to that spectacle, smiling politely as if I didn't know the truth? But the more I stared at that invitation, the more I realized it was the perfect stage. Elodie wanted a fairy tale wedding. She wanted everyone to see her as the princess, adored, pure, radiant. Fine. I would give her a performance. But it would end in a way no one would ever forget. I started planning. Quietly. Carefully. I didn't breathe a word of it to anyone. My parents, of course, adored Elodie. She was their golden child, the one who never made mistakes, at least not mistakes that anyone knew about. I, on the other hand, was always too sensitive, too dramatic. If I had just confronted them with the affair, they would have told me I was hormonal, delusional, bitter. No, I needed proof so undeniable that it would crush them both in front of everyone they loved. The weeks leading up to the wedding, I became an actress. Smiling at Thomas when he came home late. Asking Elodie about her big day as if I cared. She had the audacity to gush about her dress, her flowers, her honeymoon. And the whole time, I had their secrets saved on a hidden drive, messages like "I wish we didn't have to sneak around" and "I want your baby, not hers." That last one made me physically sick. Every time I looked in the mirror, saw my swollen belly, I wanted to scream. She wanted my husband, and he wanted her so badly he was willing to risk destroying our family. My child would grow up in the middle of this disaster. And still, they both pretended like nothing was happening. Mark, the poor fool, had no idea. He worshipped Elodie. I could see it in the way he held her hand at family dinners, the way he spoke about her like she was some goddess. If he knew the truth, it would kill him. And part of me almost pitied him. Almost. The night before the wedding, Thomas tried to initiate intimacy with me. He touched my belly and whispered, "I can't wait for us to be parents." For a split second, I saw the man I used to love. But then I remembered the screenshots. The lies. The gaslighting. And I felt nothing but disgust. I turned away, pretending to be tired. Inside, though, my blood was boiling. He was trying to play both roles, faithful husband and secret lover. Tomorrow, his mask would be ripped off. I had prepared a small USB stick, hidden in my clutch. On it, a slideshow of their messages, photos, even a voice note Elodie had stupidly left on Thomas's phone where she whispered, "I wish this baby was mine." I didn't even have to edit it much. The evidence spoke for itself. My plan was simple. During the reception, when the toasts began, I'd take the microphone. I'd play the slideshow for everyone, family, friends, Mark, my parents. I could already imagine the room falling silent, the music cutting, the bride turning pale in her white dress as her lies played on the big screen. That night, as I lay in bed, I barely slept. My heart was pounding with a mix of dread and exhilaration. I was about to blow up not just their wedding, but my marriage, my family, everything. There would be no going back. But the thought of their smug faces collapsing in shock gave me strength. When the morning came, I put on my dress, fixed my makeup, and looked at myself one last time in the mirror. I didn't look like a broken wife anymore. I looked like a woman on the edge of vengeance. And as I headed to the church, clutching that little USB like it was a weapon, I knew, today would not be Elodie's perfect day. Today, I was going to burn everything down. The church was decorated like something out of a magazine. Roses everywhere, candles lining the aisle, a string quartet playing softly in the corner. People were smiling, laughing, taking pictures. I walked in alone, my belly leading the way, every step heavy with the weight of what I was about to do. It felt like everyone was staring at me, but maybe that was just my paranoia. Maybe deep down I knew that soon all eyes would be on me, for real. I took a seat near the front. Thomas wasn't with me, he was already in the groom's party, standing with Mark, pretending to be his best man. The irony almost choked me. My husband, standing there in a suit, smiling like nothing was wrong, ready to toast a man whose bride he was screwing behind his back. I gripped my clutch tighter, feeling the hard edge of the USB hidden inside. My weapon. The ceremony dragged on. Elodie walked down the aisle in her perfect white dress, glowing, everyone gasping at how beautiful she looked. My parents were crying, so proud, so blind. I forced myself not to roll my eyes. The vows made my stomach twist. When Mark said, "I promise to be faithful to you," I wanted to scream, "She doesn't deserve you, she's already betrayed you." But I bit my tongue. Not yet. It wasn't until the reception that my moment came. The hall was buzzing with chatter, glasses clinking, music playing. Mark gave a speech about how lucky he was, how Elodie was his soulmate. Then Elodie took the microphone, thanking everyone for coming, for supporting their love. The crowd applauded, and my parents beamed. Then it was Thomas's turn. My husband. He stood up, smiling, and began a speech about true love and commitment. The hypocrisy was unbearable. My hands shook under the table. My baby kicked inside me like even he could feel the storm building. When he finished, I rose to my feet. The room quieted. I could feel hundreds of eyes on me. My heart was hammering, but my voice was steady. "I'd like to say a few words," I announced. Elodie's smile faltered for a split second. Thomas froze, glass halfway to his lips. My parents looked confused. Mark, sweet innocent Mark, just nodded encouragingly, thinking I was about to say something sentimental. I walked to the front, clutch in hand, and plugged the USB into the projector laptop. The screen behind me flickered to life. "Before I begin," I said, "I think it's important for everyone here to see the kind of love story we're really celebrating today." The first message appeared on the big screen: "Elodie, I can't stop thinking about last night. You make me feel alive in a way Mark never could." Gasps rippled through the room. Mark's face drained of color. Elodie shot up from her chair, shouting, "Turn it off. This is a mistake." But I wasn't done. I clicked again. The next message appeared: "Thomas, I wish this baby was yours, not hers." The hall exploded in whispers and shouts. People covered their mouths, eyes wide. My parents looked like their world had collapsed, staring at Elodie in horror. Mark staggered back like he'd been punched in the gut. And then came the voice note. Elodie's own voice, dripping with lust and cruelty, echoing through the speakers: "I want to spend every night in your bed, not his. I don't care if she finds out, she's too weak to leave you." The room fell into stunned silence. All you could hear was the crack in Mark's voice as he whispered, "Elodie, tell me this isn't true." But she had no words. She was trembling, pale, her hands shaking as she tried to reach for him. Thomas sat frozen, his head in his hands, like he could hide from the truth plastered across every screen. I turned back to the crowd, my voice sharp as glass. "So yes, congratulations to the bride and groom. Elodie, may your marriage be as faithful as you've been to Mark. And Thomas," I looked directly at my husband, my voice breaking for the first time, "don't bother coming home tonight." The room erupted in chaos. Mark ripped the ring off his finger and threw it at the floor. My parents rushed toward me, babbling, but I brushed past them. Elodie was sobbing, her makeup running down her face, screaming at me that I'd ruined her life. Thomas tried to stand, to follow me, but Mark shoved him back hard enough that the whole table rattled. I walked out of that hall, my belly heavy, my chest heaving, but my head high. For once, I wasn't the weak one. I was the one who set fire to their lies and let everyone watch them burn. I'll never forget the sound of the hall behind me as I walked out. Gasps, shouting, chairs scraping against the floor. It was like I had detonated a bomb right in the center of their perfect little world. And in a way, I had. I climbed into a cab and sat in silence, my hands resting on my swollen belly. My heart was pounding, but underneath the adrenaline, there was a strange calm. For months I had carried their secret like a sickness inside me. Now it wasn't mine anymore, it belonged to everyone. By the time I got home, my phone was already buzzing with calls. My mother first. "How could you do this to your sister on her wedding day?" she demanded, her voice shrill. Not once did she ask me if I was okay, if the betrayal was true, if my marriage was over. All she cared about was the spectacle, the shame. That's when I realized, my parents would never be on my side. They never had been. Next came Thomas. He left 10 missed calls, dozens of messages. Some were apologies: "Please, I made a mistake, we can fix this." Others were manipulative: "You're ruining our family, think about the baby." And then the ugly ones: "You're pathetic, no wonder I went to her." Reading them, I felt a wave of disgust so strong I thought I might vomit. Mark, surprisingly, called me too. His voice was raw, broken. "Thank you," he said. "I would have lived a lie if you hadn't told me. I don't know how I'll survive this, but at least I know the truth." I sat there in silence, tears rolling down my cheeks, because I knew exactly how he felt. Betrayed by the two people you trust the most, it kills something inside you that never comes back. The fallout was brutal. Elodie's marriage was cancelled before it even began. Guests spread the story like wildfire. Within days, everyone in our town knew the bride had been sleeping with her sister's husband while carrying her nephew. She quit her job out of shame, moved out of Mark's place, and went to stay with my parents. They treated her like a victim, pampered her, defended her. Meanwhile, I was the cruel sister who had humiliated her in public. Thomas packed a bag and tried to come home 2 days later. I didn't let him in. I told him through the door, "The locks will be changed by tomorrow. Don't ever step foot here again." He begged. He threatened. He cried. I didn't care. For the first time in years, his words didn't control me. I filed for divorce within the week. I knew it wouldn't be easy, not with a baby on the way, but I couldn't raise my child in a house poisoned by lies. My lawyer didn't flinch when I handed her the proof: screenshots, messages, voice notes. "This is more than enough," she said, and I felt the faintest flicker of relief. Nights were the hardest. I'd lie in bed, hand on my stomach, whispering to my unborn child, "It's just you and me now. We'll be okay. I promise." Some nights I believed it. Other nights, I cried until I couldn't breathe. The betrayal wasn't just about sex. It was about trust, about being made a fool of, about being treated like I was blind and stupid. That wound cut deeper than anything. Months later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Holding him in my arms, I felt stronger than I ever had. He was pure, untouched by the ugliness that had surrounded me. He didn't deserve to grow up in a family where betrayal was normal, where loyalty meant nothing. He deserved better. As for Elodie and Thomas, their affair didn't survive the explosion. The moment their secret became public, whatever fantasy they'd built collapsed under the weight of reality. Mark wanted nothing to do with Elodie. And Thomas? He lost everything: his wife, his child, his dignity. People still whisper about what happened. At family gatherings, my parents glare at me like I'm the villain who destroyed their perfect daughter's life. They don't understand that she destroyed it herself. Sometimes I wonder if I went too far by exposing them at the wedding. But then I remember the messages, the gaslighting, the nights I lay awake alone while my husband was with my sister. I didn't just expose them. I freed myself. Even now, though, when I look at my son's face, I can't help but think, one day he'll ask about his father, and I'll have to decide how much of the truth to tell him. That's the part that still haunts me. Because even after burning everything down, the ashes still cling.
Follow me for more stories.